Syllabus Part 1, Local Governments, Creation, Merger, Abolition, and Powers. Creation of Local Government Units. Patricio Tan et al. V. Cumlic Facts, prompted by the enactment of BP 885. Petitioners who are residents of the province of Negros Occidental filed with this court a case for prohibition for the purpose of stopping Cumlic from conducting the plebiscite which, pursuant to and in implementation of the law. Petitioners contend that BP 885 is unconstitutional and it is not in complete accord with the LGC as in Article 11, Section 3 of our Constitution regarding the requirements in land area and estimated annual income. Petitioners also contend that a number of voters were excluded since the plebiscite was confined only to the inhabitants of 3 cities and 8 municipalities in Negros del Norte, to the exclusion of the voters of the province of Negros Occidental. Cumlic contends that the law is not unconstitutional. They claim that BP 885 does not infringe the Constitution because the requisites of the LGC have been complied with. They submit that the case has now become moot and academic with the proclamation of Negros del Norte as during the plebiscite, 164,734 were in favor of the creation of the new province while only 30,400 were against it. Issue 1. The province complied with the plebiscite requirement. Held no ratio. The more significant and pivotal issue in the present case revolves around in the interpretation and application in the case at bar of Article 11, Section 3 of the Constitution. It can be plainly seen that the constitutional provision makes it imperative that there be first obtained the approval of a majority of votes in the plebiscite in the unit or units affected whenever a province is created, divided or merged and there is substantial alteration of the boundaries. It is thus inescapable to conclude that the boundaries of the existing province of Negros Occidental would necessarily be substantially altered by the division of its existing boundaries in order that there can be created the proposed new province of Negros del Norte. Plain and simple logic will demonstrate then that 2 political units would be affected. The first would be the parent province of Negros Occidental because its boundaries would be substantially altered. The other affected entity would be composed of those in the area subtracted from the mother province to constitute the proposed province of Negros del Norte. We find no way to reconcile the holding of a plebiscite that should conform to said constitutional requirement but eliminates the participation of either of these 2 component political units. No one should be allowed to pay homage to a supposed fundamental policy intended to guarantee and promote autonomy of local government units but at the same time transgress, ignore and disregard what the Constitution commands in Article 11 Section 3 thereof. We fail to find any legal basis for the unexplained change made when Parliamentary Bill No. 3644 was enacted into Batas Pambanza BLG 885 so that it is now provided in said enabling law that the plebiscite shall be conducted in the proposed new province which are the areas affected. We are not disposed to agree that by mere legislative fiat the unit or units affected referred in the fundamental law can be diminished or restricted by the Batasang Pambanza to cities and municipalities comprising a new province, thereby ignoring the evident reality that there are other people necessarily affected. The court reversed the ruling in Paredes vs. Executive Secretary. Petitioners have averred without contradiction that after the creation of Negros del Norte, the province of Negros Occidental would be deprived of the long-established cities of Sili, Cadiz, and San Carlos, as well as the municipality of Victorias. No controversy has been made regarding petitioners' assertion that the areas of the province of Negros Occidental will be diminished by about 285,656 hectares and it will lose 7 of the 15 sugar mills which contribute to the economy of the whole province. In the language of petitioners, to create Negros del Norte, the existing territory and political subdivision known as Negros Occidental has to be partitioned and dismembered. What was involved was no birth but amputation. We agree with the petitioners that in the case of Negroes what was involved was a division, a separation, and consequently, as Sector 3 of Article 11 of the Constitution anticipates, a substantial alteration of boundary. Issue 1. The new province of Negros del Norte complied with the requirements as to land area. Held no ratio. The original Parliamentary Bill No. 3644 expressly declared that the new province contained an area of 285,656 ha. More or less. However, when Parliamentary Bill was enacted into BP 885, the province now comprised a territory of 4,019.95 square kilometers. The certification of the provincial treasurer also indicates that the province comprised of a lesser area. Although the certification stated that the land area of the municipality of Don Salvador was not available, it appeared that such is only 80.2 kilometers. This area, if added to 2,685.2 square kilometers, will result in approximately an area of only 2,765.4 square kilometers. The last sentence of the first paragraph of Section 197 LGC1 is most revealing. As so stated therein, the territory need not be contiguous if it comprises 2 or more islands. The use of the word territory in this particular provision of the Local Government Code and in the very last sentence thereof, clearly, reflects that territory as therein used has reference only to the mass of land area and excludes the waters over which the political unit exercises control. Said sentence states that the territory need not be contiguous. Contiguous means in physical contact, touching along all or most of one side, near, text, or adjacent. Contiguous, when employed as an adjective, as in the above sentence, is only used when it describes physical contact, or a touching of sides of 2 solid masses of matter. The meaning of particular terms in a statute may be ascertained by reference to words associated with or related to them in the statute. Therefore, in the context of the sentence above, what need not be contiguous is the 1 SEC 197. Requisites for creation. A province may be created if it has a territory of at least 3,500 square kilometers, a population of at least 500,000 persons, an average estimated annual income, as certified by the Ministry of Finance, of not less than 10 million pesos for the last 3 consecutive years. And its creation shall not reduce the population and income of the mother province or provinces at the time of said creation to less than the minimum requirements under this section. The territory need not be contiguous if it comprises 2 or more islands. The average estimated annual income shall include the income allotted for both the general and infrastructural funds, exclusive of trust funds, transfers, and non-recurring income. Territory, the physical mass of land area. There would arise no need for the legislators to use the word contiguous if they had intended that the term territory embrace not only land area but also territorial waters. It can be safely concluded that the word territory in the first paragraph of Section 197 is meant to be synonymous with land area only. The words and phrases used in a statute should be given the meaning intended by the legislature. The sense in which the words are used furnished the rule of construction. The distinction between territory and land area which respondents make is an artificial or strained construction of the disputed provision whereby the words of the statute are arrested from their plain and obvious meaning and made to bear an entirely different meaning to justify an absurd or unjust result. The plain meaning in the language in a statute is the safest guide to follow in construing the statute. A construction based on a forced or artificial meaning of its words and out of harmony of the statutory scheme is not to be favored. T. Honky, concurring, the challenged act is manifestly void and unconstitutional. Consequently, all the implementing acts complained of, viz. the plebiscite, the proclamation of a new province of Negros del Norte and the appointment of its officials are equally void. The limited holding of the plebiscite only in the areas of the proposed new province to the exclusion of the voters of the remaining areas of the integral province of Negros Occidental, namely, the three cities of Bacolod, Bago, and La Carlota and the municipalities of La Castellana, Isabella, Moises Padilla, Pontevedra, Inigaran, Himamilan, Cabancalan, Murcia, Valladolid, San Enrique, Ilog, Cauayan, Hinoban and Sipali and Candoni. Grossly contravenes and disregards the mandate of Article 11. Section 3 of the then prevailing 1973 Constitution that no province may be created or divided or its boundary substantially altered without the approval of a majority of the votes in a plebiscite in the unit or units affected. It is plain that all the cities and municipalities of the province of Negros Occidental, not merely those of the proposed new province, comprise the units affected. It follows that the voters of the whole and entire province of Negros Occidental have to participate and give their approval in the plebiscite. Because the whole province is affected by its proposed division and substantial alteration of its boundary. To limit the plebiscite to only the voters of the areas to be partitioned and seceded from the province is as absurd and illogical as allowing only the secessionists to vote for the secession that they demanded against the wishes of the majority and to nullify the basic principle of majority rule. The argument of fait accompli is that the railroaded plebiscite of January 3, 1986 was held and can no longer be enjoined, and that the new province of Negros del Norte has been constituted, begs the issue of invalidity of the challenged act. This court has always held that it does not look with favor upon parties racing to beat an injunction or restraining order which they have reason to believe might be forthcoming from the court by virtue of the filing and pendency of the appropriate petition. Therefore, where the restraining order or preliminary injunction are found to have been properly issued, as in the case at bar, mandatory writs shall be issued by the court to restore matters to the status quo ante. Where, as in this case, there was somehow a failure to properly issue the restraining order stopping the holding of the illegal plebiscite, the court will issue the mandatory writ or judgment to restore matters to the status quo ante and restore the territorial integrity of the province of Negros Occidental by declaring the unconstitutionality of the challenged act and nullifying the invalid proclamation of the proposed new province of Negros del Norte and the equally invalid appointment of its officials.